Good afternoon, students, and welcome to this session. Today, we'll be talking about the theories of language development. Before we start, please enter your student numbers in the chat function. Switch off your mics, mute yourself, and switch off your cameras. If any of you need assistance, one-on-one assistance, you may use the link I pasted in the conversation toolbox to arrange for a meeting. Thank you. Students, can you see my slide? Bronwyn, can you see the slide? Amber, please give me an indication if you can see my slide on your side. All right, thank you, Bronwyn. Now, language theories. What would you say, what is language, students? Please, we make use of it every day. Anyone, what do you think? What is language? Please share with me your ideas. Remember, language is a spoken language. So what do you think, what is language? Alan, what do you think? Akila? I'm listening, students. We can say language is a spoken language, the language that you're comfortable with, your mother tongue. Language are made up of sounds, words, and grammar rules. Can any of you perhaps tell me what is the rules of language, or what you have to learn before acquire a language? Please, students, share with me.
Hi, sorry, can you just
Yes,
repeat that?
language. I'd like to know what is your understanding of language? What do you understand by the term language? What is language to you?
Okay, so language is the way we communicate. There's rules that everyone has to follow to understand that language.
Yes. What rules are you referring to? Or what rules do you think we must comply to?
Like basic rules, spelling,
Hmm.
tenses, um, proper nouns, verbs, nouns, using them in correct spaces.
Yes, yes, you're on the right track. Well, good. Anyone else? Thank you for that. Anyone else would like to share their ideas with us? Please share, students. All right. If we look at the centrality of language, it's language for understanding. You speak a spoken language that you understand, language for expression, that's why we use it. You must have a vocabulary, make use of verbal expressions, must have basic grammatical language and grammatical structure. So what does this all include? If you look at my diagram, the grammar rules are as follows: morphology, syntax, semantics, and lexicon. Now, can anyone tell me what you understand by the term phonology? Remember, we have to teach this in our classrooms, in our ECD centers. Phonology has to do with the sound system, with what you're hearing. Remember, we spoke about it last week. For example, if you say a particular word to a student or a learner, for example, if you say dog, you will ask the learner, what sound did you hear first? And then the learner will say the D sound. So phonology has to do with the sound system. Then you have morphology. Morphology, on the other hand, is when you have the basic knowledge of phonological awareness, you now can structure words. So phonology has to do with the structure of words. Remember, the child first need to know the sounds, phonemic and phonological awareness before they can structure words. Just to recap, how did we teach phonological and phonemic awareness? How do you teach it in your classrooms, in your ECD centers? Remember, we're teaching them the sounds, and we're teaching them also to make up words. So how will you teach that in your classrooms? You do it every day. Please share with me. Remember, when teaching phonemic and phonological awareness, we can make use of matching cards. the capital A and the small letter A, and they have to match it together. What else do you do in your classroom? What other activities do you do in your classrooms? Do you say the alphabet in the morning with the learners? Do you do that, students? Amber, what do you do? Can you still hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
All right, thank you. Please tell me, share with me, what will you do in your classroom in order for them to understand phonemic and phonological awareness? Remember, you're giving them little exercises in your classroom, but what do you do? How do you do it? Or how will you do it in your classroom if you're not in a classroom yet? Remember, we can play sound games, word games with the learners. That is how they learn phonemic and phonological awareness. We say the alphabet every day and ask them, can you perhaps give me a word that starts with the S sound, and they will say apple. That is how you teach phonemic and phonological awareness. Remember, I also told you about the sand pit where you can practice their writing, the sand tray. In the same way, you can teach them the phonemic and phonological awareness by just asking them to write the sound in the sand. Then syntax. Syntax, on the other hand, is a combination of words that you use in a sentence. Now tell me, at what stage will they be able to write sentences or put words into sentences? Will it be in and pre-grade R, or will it start at grade R only?
Maybe after grade R.
Yes, yes, thank you. And how will you teach them to write these words in sentences?
So maybe short sentences.
Yes, yes, that's correct. Short sentences, but how will you teach them to put words into sentences? Remember, this is now after you've taught them the vocabulary or the phonemic and phonological awareness. Now they have to write sentences. How will you do it now? Yes, you're quite right. They will write the short sentences, but will they be able to write it? Will they be able to write it? How will you teach them to put the words into sentences? We can do it the same way as we do it with teaching phonemic and phonological awareness by showing them the cards, the alphabet cards, one at a time. Now, with building sentences again, you will give them cards with words on. Remember, now it's not only going to be the sound is going to form a word. For example, dog, if you take dog in the sentence, you will give them the word dog on a little card. Say, for instance, you want them to write a sentence, the dog sit on the mat. Then you cut out those little words, the dog sit out on the mat, and then they must pack it out for you. But remember, in our classrooms, we have a diverse group of learners, so there will be a few that you might give the sounds to, and then they can build the word with the sounds. First, they can build the word, and after that, once they can build the words, you can give them the card with the word on, and they can build sentences from there. Is there any questions, students, on this? Do you all understand this? Anyone have a question on that? Or may I continue? All right, let's continue. Now, semantics again, is the way in which sounds and meanings are related. Here, we have to do that sound with sounds and meanings that are related. So first, with phonology, it has to do with the sound system. They must understand the sound first and will be able to connect with the sound in the word. Morphology again, after you've taught them the sounds, they will be able to structure words. With syntax, they will be able to combine the words into sentences. Semantics has to do with the way in which sounds and meanings are related. I am, I. Then lexicon. Lexicon is the mental dictionary for words. That is the mental dictionary for words. You already know these words. Do you have any questions on these slides, students? Any questions for me? Right, let's proceed. Now we have various theories of language development. We have Pavlov's classical conditioning, Skinner's operant conditioning, Chomsky's theory of language acquisition, Piaget cognitive theory for language acquisition, and Vygotsky's social interaction theory. I'm only going to focus on two of these theories, and that will be Piaget's cognitive theory and Vygotsky's theory of the operant condition. Students, have you read through these theories in your books already? Please give me indication. Anyone? Did you go through this theories in your book? No.
Not recently, no.
All right, but you've read through it before.
For the assignments, yes.
With the assignment, right? Did you understand any of these theories?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, would you like to share one of them that you understood?
No, I'm not so. I need to refresh on that right now.
Is it? All right, all right. Thank you, ma'am. Sure. Anyone else? All right, let me take you to Skinner's operant conditioning. Skinner, he believed that children learn language through operant conditioning. In other words, he says that children receive rewards for using language in a functional manner. For example, a child will learn to say the word drink. When he or she is thirsty, he will say drink. Then the child receives something to drink. That will reinforce his or her use of the word getting a drink. And thus, he or she will then continue to do so. Remember, Skinner said, or he believed, children learn language in an operant condition For example, they get rewarded for when they use language in a correct manner. And I've made the example of a child that just learned to say the word drink. He and she will ask you, drink. You will know what it means. Then you'll give them something in return for using that word, which then will reinforce that child to use the word drink for when she is thirsty. Then I move on to Chomsky's theory, language acquisition. Now, he again believes that children instinctively learns language without any formal instruction. Tell me, do you think that is possible? Do you think it's possible, students? All right. He believes that children instinctively learn language without any formal instruction. He also believes that children have a natural use or natural need to use language. And remember, they're using language without any formal language. They will then develop a system of communication to meet their needs. Remember, Chomsky believed that children will learn language instinctively. They will have no formal instruction. He believed that it's a natural process to make use of language without any formal instruction, meaning that child will develop a system of communication that meets his or her needs. Then he has observed children, or that children make the same type of language errors. He also believed in the existence of grammar that's used across the board, and that there are certain grammatical rules. All humans, all of us, using a language. He believed that there are certain grammatic rules to language, and we know there is rules to language. Then we can move on to Piaget's theory. His theory is based on stages of cognitive development. The first stage is the sensory motor stage from 0 to 2 years. The pre-operational stage from 2 to 7 years. The concrete operational stage from 7 to 11 years. And the formal operational stage, which is between 11 and 15 years old. Now, with the sensory motor stage, children start to make connections between senses. What kind of connections do you think they start making, say from birth? Anyone? Remember, they're using their senses now. So what are they using?
For example, they would smell food or like milk or whatever, and they would like either prefer it or not.
Yes, that's correct. Thank you. Thank you. So they will make use of their sight, touching, actions, and feelings, emotions. They will make use of that. At this stage starts from birth, as you know it, to when they will be able to speak or start speaking. Remember, young or little children, or let me say infants, they gain knowledge of the world. Remember when we spoke about the reading and writing process? They gain knowledge of the world from physical interactions with objects. Then, at first, at first, the schematics are simple for them and limited to what they explore through their body senses. Then that will rapidly become more complex as the child begins to move around and explore the immediate environment. That's why I said infant gain knowledge of the world from physical interactions with objects, with others. Then, right from the beginning and all through the subsequent stages, active exploration and trying out of things develop, right? Then a very important step in this process is when children reach the point of object, at this point, something outside comes to the internally represented in the mind. All right? Then the, the steps of representing, sorry students, just a second. Then the beginning of a range of progressively or more powerful cognitive possibilities and characteristics starts to develop in their mind as they grow. From this point on, for instance, children can imitate someone or something. Have you noticed that? Have you noticed that within your environment? When they're small, they can't imitate, but as they grow, they will imitate someone or something, or they will imitate the animal, make a sound of an animal, their favorite animal. Language also becomes possible. They will start using words like mama, dada. So in turn, the development of perception and problem solving becomes possible. Do I have to explain sensory stage again? Sensory motor stage, or do you understand, students? Would you like me to go through it again? Alan, do you understand?
I understand, coach.
All right, thank you. So let's continue with the pre-operational stage now. The pre-operational stage is between 2 to 7 years old. This is when a child begins to speak. That is now the age between 2 to 7. We know by 7 some of them might speak fluently already and others not. At this stage, children's increase in playing and pretending takes place. Here, children like to pretend play. As this stage, as at this stage, a child still has difficulty seeing the viewpoint of others. Have you noticed that in your classrooms with the 7 years old, the 6-year-old children? Anyone? Yes, they don't see the world as we see it. So at this stage, the child still has difficulty seeing the viewpoint of us, of as teachers, as parents. They don't understand things the way we understand it. Then during this period, the child's language makes progress. Now, they don't use, let's say, baby talk anymore. They use proper words, proper language they're using now. The development of their mental representation, let them quickly grasp new words and new situations at this stage. Children pick up new words during the ages 2 to 7. And believe me, they remember those words. For example, if you use a single word in your classroom or at home with a child and you perhaps say sugar, the child will then reply to say, Mommy going out. Meaning, Mommy is going to buy the sugar. You just hear the word and you say, Mommy is going out because you know, Mommy gets sugar from the shop. Are you still with me, students? Because you're very quiet. Are you with me?
Yes, thanks.
Yes,
Good.
Portia.
All right. Tell me, do you understand? Because you're very quiet tonight. Do you understand, students?
Yes.
All right.
Yes,
Anyone
thanks.
else? Thank you. All right. So let's just look at pretend play. Pretend play. What is pretend play to you, students? What does it mean to you, pretend play? I know you do it in your classrooms with students or learners, especially once you're done with a story, read a story to them, then you will do pretend play. How do you do it in your classroom? Please share with me.
They would pretend to play shop, where the one is the shopkeeper, where they would be on the toe and know the concept of paying the item they buy, so they remember how they would do it when mommy or daddy goes to the shop.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. Anyone else? So they start with pretend play. That's quite correct. You will let them act out a story or go to the shop and one is the cashier and one is the customer. So pretend play. Remember children likes to pretend. They do that. For example, when they see a toy, Say it's only the child and the toy. Then that toy he will use as a character. Remember, he sees that toy now. You see that toy has qualities, say, beyond that it was designed to function. And now we use it to stand for a character, for a character example, or an object. He will then pretend play with that object. Now, Piaget believed that children's pretend play help them solidify new schemata they were developing cognitively. They now understand things better and clearer. Now, if we look at the concrete operational stage, what do you think? What happens in the concrete operational stage? Remember, with sensory motor, sensory motor, they just make use of their senses. Later on, get in touch with physical actions, with pre-operational stage. They still have difficulty to see our viewpoints as adults. And remember, during this point, they made progress in language and they can make simple sentences. They love to pretend play here. So what will happen in the concrete operational stage, students? The concrete operational stage, they are between 7 and 11 years. What do you think? What happened during the concrete operational stage?
Their thinking becomes more mature, and like they've got a more logical way of thinking.
Yes, thank you. Anyone else would like to add to that?
I think they understand better now at this age.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. Anyone else like to share? During the concrete operational stage, say concrete, let me start off by saying concrete means physical things and operational means a logical way of thinking or operating. So at this stage, children start to think logically, like you've said, and they start to think rationally. But remember, they might be limited to thinking about physical objects. Yeah, at this stage, they only start to think logically and rationally. But they might also be limited, or they may be limited to thinking about physical objects. Now, there's a few characteristics in this phase or stage. There is two stages in the characteristics. The one is classification. Here, children are starting to categorize things. By now, when they get to this stage, the concrete operational stage, they can already group things together into separate categories For example, they will be able to separate flowers from animal sugar from milk. And secondly, they will understand that there are subclasses within groups. What do you think what is subclasses in group, students? You can make an example also.
So for example, if groups are your fruits and vegetables, just food in general, and then a subclass would be like protein, wat koolhydrate in Engels, and all those things.
All right. Thank you. So, subclasses within groups. I'm going to make an easy example quickly, but that is quite right, as you said. Like yellow and red. All right. They will be able to subclass yellow and red flowers. And then when it comes to animals, they will be able to separate the animals that can swim to the animals that can crawl or walk. So that is subclasses. Then they will also start to converse. They will understand things. They will understand that some things can stay the same in quantity even though it looks different. Here with conversation, they start to understand things. For example, they will understand when something stay the same in quantity, even though it looks different. Do any of you have question on concrete operational stage?
You said there was two like substages of the concrete operational. One was classification. I'm not sure what the other one was.
Conversation.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else have a question for me? All right. Let's proceed to the formal operational stage, and that is between ages 11 and 15. What do you think, students, what happened during this stage of cognitive development? Remember, yeah, they're 11 to 15 years old. So what do you think what happened here? What happens here? Remember, they're in the phase of early adolescence. At this stage, yes. I'm listening.
Sorry, I'm just like trying to remember because I know I read it a while back, but I think in this stage they start to see other people's views better, or like they take that into consideration.
Yes, yes, correct. Thank you for that. Anyone else? This is the final stage of Piaget's theory. All right. At this point in development, thinking becomes much more advanced. Children now start to think about abstract concepts, and they use logic to come up with ideas or solutions to problems. Then skills they also develop certain skills here. They develop logical thoughts, deductive reasoning, and also systematic planning also emerge during this stage. They learn how to plan systematically, they use logic here, and they can reason at this stage. The most important point here is to remember that at this stage, their thinking is more advanced, so they will be able to think logically and plan, and they will be able to plan in a sensible way. Students, can we please just break for 5 minutes and be back 20 past 6? Thank you. Just get some hot coffee and be back here 20 past 6. Thank you, students. Hi students, you all back? By the show of hands, please indicate if you're back on air or back in the session. Thank you. Thank you, students. Let's continue. Danae, please tell me, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
All right, thank you. Thank you. So we just discussed the sensory motor stage, pre-operational stage, concrete operational stage, and formal operational stage. Is there any questions before I move on, students? All right. Now tell me, after listening to Piaget's theory, how will you apply his theory in your classroom, students? How do you think, how will you apply his theory in your classroom? You can take all these stages into consideration. How will you go about applying his theory in classroom? All right, let me share with you. Applying his theory in your classrooms, you must use concrete objects and visuals wherever possible. If you walk into any ECD classroom or grade R classroom or any class, you will always find that there's visuals on the wall. Why do we put visuals on the wall, students? Why do you think we put visuals on the wall? Why do you think we put sight words on the wall?
For
Anyone?
easy for students to remember.
Yes, thank you. Why else, students?
So that they can refer to it when they're stuck and not necessarily have to ask.
Yes, thank you. To anyone else? Why do you put it on the walls, visuals? And why do you have concrete objects?
So they are reminded of it all the time.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
It also use more like senses because they see it and they can touch it, and that helps with remembering it.
Yes, correct. And now why do we make use of concrete objects? We spoke about this in writing. To do what? Remember, they're using their hands here. Remember, we said we use concrete objects to help with their fine motor skills because they must touch it, they must feel it. That is why we use concrete objects with visual aids again. We use visual aids in our classroom to enforce certain words so that they understand the words, the meaning of the words, so they constantly see, for example, the alphabet on the wall. I know you have the alphabet on your wall with pictures, so they can make a connection between the sound, the alphabet sound, and the picture. That is why we have visuals and concrete objects in our classroom. Then we must also give or make instructions relatively short for learners. using actions as well as words. By saying that, the teacher must do first learn a look, learn a copy, and learn a try to imitate what the teacher has done. All right? So, here, make relatively short using actions as well as words. For example, if you're busy with a lesson on sounds, grade R's, grade 1's, you will make the sound on the board. You will write the sound on the board. You will give the learner a page where they must copy or trace over the sound. You will go around to see if the learner make the sound correctly. That's why I say you will first do the learner look and then copy. Then after a while, the learner will be able to write the sound or you will be able to make the shape. If you're busy with mathematics in your classroom, then they will be able to do it on their own. And thirdly, please, please, students, do not expect your learners to see the world or to constantly see the world as you see it. You must allow them to express their views in classroom on topics or on a story you've read. That's why I said when we read stories to learners, ask them to make predictions. That is one way of doing it. Let them express their views on topics or on stories. Then you must also be sensitive to the possibility that learners may have different meanings for the same word or different words for the same meaning. Did you ever see that happening in your class, students? Where they use a word that have a different meaning, but they think that's supposed to be the word that they must use? Did you ever see or hear that happening in your classroom?
Yes, I have.
Yes, then what do you do? What do you do then?
We normally just correct them because it is not the right way of using the word. So, like, they would say, "I'm done," and then you would just correct them by saying, "You're finished."
Yes, correct. Thank you. Thank you for that. So learners may also expect everyone to understand words they invent. That's also happening in your class. I know learners will tell you, no teacher, but this is the correct word. And they will convince you that that is the word that they invented. That is the correct word to use. But you're quite correct. We must correct them at all times. Then you must also allow learners in your classroom to experience things on their own. Must also give them lots and lots of hands-on practices or exercises with the skills that will help them with more complex skills at the latest stage, like reading comprehension. Just going to repeat this. You must give them a great deal or lots of hands-on exercises or practices or practical activities with in mind that this will help them, or it will be the building blocks for to help them with more complex skills like reading comprehension. Do you all understand the slide, or is there any questions for me on this slide, students? Amber, you good with this slide? Danae?
Yes, I am. I'm just writing the last one before you move on.
All right, all right. Anyone else have a question for me?
Hi, could you just tell me that again? Lots of hands-on experience, lots of practical experience to help with what?
To help them with skills that will serve as building blocks for more complex skills that they will make use of later, at a later stage, like reading comprehension.
Okay, all right, thanks.
All right, Leisha. Anyone else have a question? Can I move on? All right. Let's look at Vygotsky. Who is Vygotsky? Vygotsky, the role of social context. If you just look at that, what do you think? What do you think? What is his theory based on? Anyone? All right. Vygotsky, on the other hand, he was more concerned on how things happen. He made use of the ZPD, which stands for Zone of Proximal Development. This is a critical stage, or let's say space, where a child cannot understand something alone. But the child has the potential to do so through or with the help of another person. The teacher or the parent will help the teacher to understand things. For example, a parent, a teacher, or any other person that will be able to teach a child will help him to get through this stage. Remember, or let me just tell you that teachers know that if a child didn't grasp anything, you will come back and teach it to that child. So Vygotsky, he wants us to allow learners to shape private speech. And he used the zone of proximal development. Now ZPD, as you can see, the top level is the level of additional responsibility that a child can accept with assistance of an elder person or a teacher. The lower level, or the bottom part, is the level of problem-solving reach on different tasks by a child working alone. So, Vygotsky, he described the zone of proximal development as, he described it as the distance between the actual development as determined independent problem solving and the level of potential development as determined through problem solving under a teacher, an adult, or a parent's guidelines. He said, or he believed, the distance between the actual development level in problem solving and the level of potential development through problem solving under adult guidelines. Do you understand that, students? Do you want me to go through it again? Okay. Then Vygotsky's work, he also looked at the interrelationship between language development and thinking process. So it's the interrelationship between language development and thinking process. There's a connection. So he believed that younger children, they primarily made use of speech to think out loud. But as time goes by, he said that the silent inner speech, as they required mental concepts and cognitive awareness, developed. Now, the ZPD, with the ZPD, you must remember, there's things a child can do all on their own, things a child can do with a bit of help, where you scaffold the learners to put them in groups similar in thinking, similar in reasoning, and then things learners cannot do yet, regardless of scaffolding. For example, you won't give advanced mathematics for a 5-year-old because they won't understand. It's not on their level. So, Vygotsky believed that you must make use of the zone of proximal development where children can do things on their own, and these things they cannot do on their own without a bit of help, such as when you ask them questions or watching them doing things. This is the space where learner growth occurs. With the ZPD, it's the space where the learner's growth occur. Then he also put in the ZPD the things a child cannot do yet. So remember, Vygotsky's theory of language development focus on social learning and the zone of proximal development. Remember, the ZPD is a level of development when a child when a child develop and, and engage in social interactions with others. And like I've said, it is the distance between a child's potential to learn and the actual learning that takes place. In Vygotsky's theory also demonstrated, yeah, he and Piaget, they differed. Vygotsky also demonstrated in his theory that Piaget underestimated the importance of social interactions in development of language. Remember, Piaget, he developed the process of cognitive development. That is why Vygotsky said he underestimated the importance of social interactions in the development of language. Then, how will you apply Vygotsky's theory in your classroom? Anyone, how will you apply his theory in your classroom? Remember, Vygotsky, he described, or his theory was based on language development focused on social learning and the zone of proximal development. So how will you apply his theory in your classroom, students? Right. We will provide enough assistance to the learner in the classroom using his theory. But once we see a child mastered a certain skill, we will let him try and do it on his or her own. All right? Remember, he concentrated on the things a child can do all on their own, the things they can do with assistance. Remember the ZPD is a space where learner growth occurs. And then also take into consideration with this ZPD the things a child cannot do yet, regardless of what you do. And I made the example of giving a child an advanced mathematics question paper, and the child is 5 years old. Obviously, the child won't be able to do it. So how will you incorporate or how will you imply his theory in your classroom, students?
I would say to just be aware of the different levels of development in your class. So first explaining and then seeing who's grasping it, assisting them, and also the ones that's struggling, but then you can leave the ones that's like getting it right. For example, tying shoelaces, then let them continue tying and then rather just assist the ones that's really struggling. But I don't know if they can't do it, then should you leave it? Or because that's basically, because you said take into consideration what they cannot do.
Yes, yes. As a teacher, we know we will always help them to do it or try to do it. And I know for sure that's what you do in your classroom. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Anyone else? How will you apply his theory in your classroom? Come here, there's a lot of interaction involved. So how will you apply it in your classroom? Right? We will also encourage them to use private speech. Always encourage them to give their opinion in the classroom. Always encourage them to speak up in class. Is there any questions, students?
So private speech is just referring to them speaking up in classroom?
Yes, correct. Correct. Anyone else have a question for me? Right? Yes, you ask them to speak up in class with private speech, and it's when they talk to themselves or communicate with themselves in class as well. Anyone else? All right. Students, please type your student numbers in the chat function. And after class, you must please complete the feedback form and the evaluation form. Before I conclude this session, I'd like to know from you, how do you feel about having a class this coming Saturday? Do you think it can happen by the show of hands?
Yes.
Right, anyone else? Can we have a class on this coming Saturday? It will be on academic reading. Because remember, this theory involves a lot of reading. Right? Right? Thank you. What time will be a good time for you, Saturday morning, students? 10 o'clock? 10 to 12? Will that work for you? Janae, will 10 to 12 work for you Saturday morning?
10 to 12.
Yes.
That's a bit late. Can we maybe do a bit earlier?
All right, what time?
Maybe around 10.
10 o'clock. Oh,
Yeah,
all right, 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock until 12?
that's fine with me. I don't know
All
about the
right.
others.
All right. Simone, what do you think? 10 to 12 Saturday morning? Bronwyn, will you be able to attend Saturday morning's class? 10 to 12? All right. I'll ask Adele to send out an email just to remind you of our class Saturday morning from 10 to 12. The topic will be academic reading. Right. So let's just recap on our tonight's lesson quickly. I explained to you the meaning of language. I told you that it's a spoken language. It includes sounds, words, grammar, and rules. And then I also mentioned the rules included there. It's phonology, morphology, syntax, semantics, and lexicon. I also went through the different theories. That was the theories of Pavlov, Skinner, Chomsky, Piaget's cognitive theory of language acquisition, and Vygotsky's social interaction theory. I also mentioned that Piaget's theory is based to understand must understand the insights into the process of development. And then there was 4 stages. That was a sensory motor stage, the pre-operational stage, the concrete operational stage, and the formal operational stage. That is from age 11 to 15. Then I gave you some tips on how to incorporate Piaget's theory in your classroom by using concrete objects and visuals to make instructions relatively short. And when you give instructions, do it by using actions as well as words. And then you also must not expect learners to see things the way you see it. You must allow them to express their views on a topic I've said. And you must also be sensitive to them using words differently on different contexts. You must give them lots of hands-on practice and exercises. That will be building blocks for them to do more complex skills, or like when they're reading comprehensively. With Vygotsky, we said he made use of the ZPD. With the ZPD, you must allow children to do things on their own. And if they cannot do things on their own, like we said, you can help them. But I also said that you cannot give a child a task to do that is not on the child's level. And students, that completes our session for this evening. On that note, I want to leave you with this. Language is a tool for cognitive development. Please remember that language is a tool for cognitive development. Then I'd like to say, have a good evening and thank you for joining this session. Then I'll see you Saturday morning between 10 o'clock and 12, and the topic will be academic reading. Thank you, students, for your time. And good night. Please don't forget to complete the feedback form and the evaluation form.
Portia, can I give you my computer number, please?
Yes, you may.
63
63
62
62
89
89
29.
29. All right, thank you. Anyone else have difficulty putting their student number in the chat? Then you can give it to me.
Hi. Sorry, I
Yes.
didn't have difficulty with my student number, so if there's anyone else, they can just interrupt. But I sent a message to Adele stating that I find it difficult to get the recordings of the classroom. I see she uploaded the link again, but under the link, there's a few different tabs.
All right.
And I want to know in which tabs are EML and CIC, because I cannot find them.
All right. Now tell me, where did you find the previous one? Under which tab was that?
EMA I found under the Numeracy Center.
All right. Then EML
The
will be
name?
there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Under the writing center, EML is there.
Under the Numeracy Center.
No, the writing center.
Well, I'm looking at it right now. The options are digital,
Okay.
LB, and then a slash CSS, library service, Numeracy Center, online
No,
classes.
don't go to that link. Go to your My UNISA.
Okay, just give me a second. Because I've been struggling and it's so confusing. I don't know why I'm struggling with it so much. Because like I said, I can find EMA, but I can't find the others.
Yeah, because that folder's a bit confusing there, because the one on the My UNISA is much easier to find.
Okay, I'm just waiting for my Outlook to open. Sorry.
No, it's fine.
Thank you, Colin, for your help.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Welcome.
Why is it not opening? Yeah, I don't know why it's not opening. If you can tell me like step by step, I'm sure I will find it.
Okay, let me just go back, then I can show you step by step. You see when you go into your modules,
Okay.
When
Is
then you
that
go to the when you go to your sites, then you go right at the bottom where it says Western Cape region. And the libraries. Do you understand what I'm saying?
okay? Wait. Under library, there is a.
There's a folder named Western Cape region.
So must I click on library?
No, at the bottom of library there, you see you get when you go to modules, no, my modules.
Yes.
Then you get your modules, and then you get then you get projects, and then under projects there stands library, and then under library at the bottom of library there's a folder for library, and then there's a folder which says Western Cape region.
Okay, so I'm on the My UNISA webpage now. If I go onto modules,
yes,
there is under that it's just calendar and then preference.
Go to sites.
Sites, yes.
Then you see your modules.
Western Cape. Okay, I've got Western Cape.
Yes, go in there.
Yes. Completely.
And then you go right at the bottom.
Yeah, so there's Digital Writing Center. Must I go in there?
You go to Writing Center, yes. Writing Center shows you where the EML is.
Okay, Writing Center.
It's right at
then
the
there's okay, here.
Right at the bottom. The last session is.
So right at the bottom is scholarships. No, it's not that one.
There's basic skills in literacy for education. That's the last one.
Information and research. No, I don't have that one. See, all I have, I've got a few, but I don't have EML. My last one is scholarship and postgraduate research sessions.
Did you go into Writing Center?
Sorry?
Did you go into Writing Center?
Sorry, say again?
Did you go into Writing Center? Did you click on Writing Center?
Must I click on Writing Center?
Yes, the folder Writing Center.
I did click on it, and then it says right at the top, writing center information and enrollment.
Okay, go right down.
Right down. Okay, so let's just go together. So then it says, please consult the schedule below on when to join the sessions, right? So you have those, and then it's like dates and stuff. And then below that, it says MS Team sessions recording and resources.
Yes.
Okay, must I still go down?
Yes.
Okay, then I've got English, I've got RAC, I've got IW, ILW, I've got SCL, I've got AFL, English again, another English, more English, then BSW, then I've got Afrikaans, English, ENN, ECS, English, PVL, AVL, PVL, and then all modules, which states scholarships and postgraduate research sessions. And then below that, I've got resources, which is writing skills development at university, and information and research skills. Those are all I have.
So you don't have the folder where it says Tuesday, 8 October, Thursday, Thursday, 8 October, and Wednesday, sorry, let me just go up. Wednesday,
Yes, I have
7
those.
October.
Yes,
So
I have
in that
those.
folder, did you see in that folder the Wednesday of the 7th of October, right at the bottom, this is
Yes.
basic skills in
EML,
literacy.
yes.
Yeah.
So is it
Did you
by
find
notes?
it?
Yes, I do. Okay, but now my question is, what about the other sessions that we've done? Like it only goes up to the 7th. Where's the 6th and like all the rest that we've done? Because we've done multiple. Like the EMA one, when I went in, I could see all 3 sessions from the 1st September, 15th September, 22nd September, and I'm sure the 6th October will also be there. But yeah, I can only see up to the 7th October. So where's the other sessions? Must I click on
Did you
them
go
and it will
in?
give me?
Click on the live notes and recordings,
Okay, I have.
and then it shows the 16th of September. Are you there?
I am there. And then the 23rd. Did we only have
23rd
2
of September.
sessions?
I'm not sure. I
I'm
don't think
sure
so.
we
We had
had
more. We had more.
We
I
had
also
way
only
more.
had that too.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Because I know for EMA we had 4 lessons, including last night.
Yeah.
So
And we had the
EML
same
surely needs to
EML,
be
it should
4
be
as
the same.
well. Yes.
Yeah.
And then so we've got this now, and the CIC one.
It's in. You can go totally out there where you get the folders again where it says
Yes.
now go to tutorial classes.
Tutorial classes. Wait, where is that now?
The same way you get digital learning, where you get numeracy center.
Oh, so I must go back.
Yes.
Okay. So let me just write here. EML is under writing. Okay. So let's go sites, then you go Western Cape, then you go, which one? Digital learning.
Tutorial.
Tutorial classes. Okay,
Yes.
I'm there.
Wednesday 7 on Thursday 8th of October. The first one.
Yeah, ICI, okay.
And then you go into notes and recordings.
Okay, there's 1, 2.
It's from the 27th of August.
Yes, there's 5. Those are all of them.
Yeah. Yes, those are all of them, but I'm sure that the literacy one we had more.
Yes, no, definitely.
So I don't know how we're going to get the others now.
Yeah, I don't know either, hey. Is it a problem with the uploading or something?
I would
is
like
the
to know
lecturer
as
still
well.
online? Do you know?
See, Portia is still here. I still see Portia.
Portia? Maybe she's stepped away.
Let's probably bring it up again on the next session.
Okay, but luckily we have class tomorrow.
Yeah, then we can ask her again tomorrow.
We've got CI, yes.
CIC tomorrow.
Yes, we do.